Good morning. This is Send 7 World News in 7 minutes. I'm Stephen Devincenzi. It's the second half of the year. Today is Wednesday, the 1st of July, 2026. Starting in the Americas today, in Venezuela, it has been a week since the most powerful earthquakes to hit the country since the year 1900. Yesterday, some people were found alive after spending 6 days under debris. Almost 2,000 deaths have now been recorded, although this is still expected to significantly rise, as thousands more people are still reported as missing and are likely trapped below fallen buildings. In the United States, the Supreme Court has made some major decisions this week. In one decision, the Supreme Court upheld a ban on transgender girls and women competing in female sports, a position which is supported by the Trump administration. However, the court has disagreed with Trump on birthright citizenship. The court has rejected an executive order that birthright citizenship does not apply to children born to mothers who are in the country temporarily or illegally. The Supreme Court also decided against Trump by saying that in an election, mail-in ballots must be counted even if they arrive after Election Day, as long as they were sent by Election Day. Europe. In the United Kingdom, Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has announced a £15 billion plan to transform the UK military. In a speech yesterday, Starmer said that the British military must be modernised, giving the example of how Ukraine has adapted and used technology to gain advantages over Russia, which was traditionally seen as a more powerful military force.
We also see on the battlefield in Ukraine that the very nature of conflict is changing before our eyes. Despite having a limited navy, limited traditional air power, and limited armour, Ukrainian forces have destroyed the Black Sea Fleet. They've struck deep into Russian territory and stopped the advance of one of the biggest armies in the world. Now, they've done that through sheer courage, yes, but also by embracing technology. They've integrated drones into their fighting like never before, understanding that the ability to innovate and produce at speed and at scale is more vital than ever to military power, and that AI will accelerate this transformation even further.
In Ukraine, birds are making nests using fibre optic cables, according to researchers and soldiers talking to Reuters. Over the last 2 years, it has been increasingly common for military drones to be attached to cables in order to avoid electronic jamming. Parts of Ukraine's front lines are now covered in the cables, and birds are combining the cables with organic material to make their nests. In Monaco, an explosion at a residential building injured a Ukrainian businessman and his family, French and Ukrainian media has said. Monegasque and French officials say that they are still searching for a person that left explosives in the building. In Germany, police have said that a 45-year-old man who was involved in a child custody dispute is the suspected attacker in a shooting on Monday at a mother and child centre. 4 women and 2 men who all worked at the centre were killed. In Spain, over 1 million migrants have applied to regularise their status using a new government programme, double the expected number when the programme was started. Asia. India's capital city, Delhi, will ban new petrol rickshaws. New Delhi government legislation says that from 2027, new auto rickshaws and other 3-wheel vehicles must be electric, and from 2028, motorbikes and other 2-wheel vehicles must be electric. Together, rickshaws and scooters make up over 2/3 of Delhi's traffic, largely contributing to the poor air quality of Delhi. In Thailand, police are investigating whether an Australian man charged with murdering a 17-year-old girl could also be responsible for 2 other similar murders in the same area over the last 2 years. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung has announced investment in artificial intelligence worth 900 trillion won, which is around 500 billion euros. Africa. In South Africa, there were anti-immigrant protests in various cities yesterday. Recently, several African governments have organised the voluntary repatriation of their citizens because of anti-immigrant sentiment in South Africa. In Senegal, there have been protests against constitutional reforms that are being debated by Parliament. Protesters say that the changes are an attempt to weaken the presidency and give more power to Ousmane Sonko, who is now the Speaker of Parliament. Sonko was an ally of President Bassirou Diomaye Faye and was appointed as Prime Minister by Faye in 2024. However, he was removed a few weeks ago after they fell out. And another piece of trivia from the World Cup. Brothers Brian Brobby and Derek Lucassen have become the first brothers to score goals at a World Cup for different countries. Brobby and Lucassen were born in the Netherlands, but their mother is from Ghana. Brobby plays for the Netherlands and scored 3 goals before the Netherlands was eliminated by Morocco yesterday. And Lucassen plays for Ghana and scored against Croatia last Saturday. Ghana will play Colombia in the knockout round this Saturday. A big thank you to Rosemary in Germany for becoming our newest supporter. If you enjoy this podcast and you'd like to have access to all of our transcripts, vocabulary lists, Wednesday worksheets, and Friday world news quizzes, you can become a supporter at send7.org. Tomorrow you'll be with Juliet Martin. Have a great day.